Hey there, music fans. Welcome back to the latest edition of the Aroundtable. I am your host, Steven, and today I'll be talking about an album that is celebrating I think it's 28th anniversary this month. I believe October 28th, 1997, saw the release of a very divisive album in their catalog, and it is Kiss's Carnival of Souls, the final sessions. This is where Kiss would embrace the grunge sound. And of course, it's polarizing because every time Kiss does divert from their signature rock and roll sound, it is met with reluctance, refusal, up in arms. So either you love it or you hate it, and both sides have valid reasons to do so. But let's be serious. Let's be honest here. Kiss has never been one to shy away from chasing musical trends. If you look at the 70s, they dabbled in disco with I Was Made for Loving You, and then Unmasked was kind of pop rock disco. They tried to be Pink Floyd with, music from The Elder, and then of course there was the heavy synth pop Crazy Nights album. So like I said, they've never shied away from chasing musical trends. So this is no surprise to me that they would attempt this, but if we're going to put it in context, the 90s saw bands like Pearl Jam and Nirvana cite Kiss as one of their influences in their career and even played their songs. I think like Black Diamond was played. I forgot who played it, but I think Black was played by Pearl Jam or something. So Kiss kind of went, hey, we're getting noticed by these bands that have now taken over radio and video. Let's go back to our roots and release a hard rock album, and let's do it old school. And they did with Revenge. I thought it was a solid album. Unfortunately, it didn't set the charts on fire. It sold about 500,000 units, gold status in the US. Not a major flop, but not the greatest success either. So I think at that point, Kiss said, look, grunge has taken over. So if you can't beat them, join them. And this is what came to be. They decided to create a grunge-like sounding album, a grunge-esque album, if you will. Of course, Paul Stanley has mentioned numerous times this is not his favorite album, and he had a hard time, with the material because it is darker, it is more serious. It's not your traditional Kiss album of rock and roll night party every day. This is very serious, very dark in tone. But nonetheless, I still enjoyed this album. I think the first single was Jungle, and I thoroughly was taken aback the first time I heard this song. It's almost 7 minutes long. It kind of reminds me of a modern take of Black Diamond. That's how I always took this song. If there's a sister to Black Diamond, it's Jungle. I like the interlude in the middle, like a jam session. It's phenomenal. I really like this song. It really got me excited for this album. The album as a whole, like I said, this is nowhere near a quintessential Kiss album. I'm not going to say if you're a Kiss fan, you must have this album in your collection, or if you're going to start listening to Kiss, this is where to go. There's better places to start. But I am one of those fans that like when a band kind of branches out and tries different things. So I've always enjoyed Unmasked. I've enjoyed Dynasty. And to an extent, I even like music from The Elder. It is different. It's not what I expected from Kiss, and neither is this. Does it work all the time? No. Does it seem a little forced? Yeah, a little bit. Are there some great songs on here? I think so. Hate, which is like, I think, a great sister song to Unholy. I like Master and Slave from Paul Stanley. I like Childhood's End from Gene Simmons. I Will Be There is a great ballad. I mentioned Jungle. I think that's great. And I think the closest you get to melodic Paul Stanley is In the Mirror. And I think that's another underappreciated little gem in the catalog. I think everybody should hear that song one time and say, yeah, this was a really good Paul rocker on here. Overall, I think it's a solid album. It's nowhere near the greatest. I'm never gonna put it in the top five, but you know what? Every once in a while, when I want to hear something else from Kiss, I'll put this on, and I'm okay with it. Like I said, I like when the bands like to change their palette a little bit and mix things up. It makes things exciting for me as a listener because if I want to listen to Destroyer, I'm going to listen to Destroyer. I'm not going to listen to Destroyer Part Five. I'll go to Destroyer. There's no other album that sounds like this, so it's unique and it's special and it's one of a kind, and I take it as such. But that's me. You let me know what you think of this album. You like it, you hate it. I know some people say this is not a Kiss album, and I understand it's valid, but I like it. It's grown on me over the years, and I think it's shows these guys can really play and have a little bit more to offer than their 3 minute anthems that they've been known for. And there's nothing wrong with them doing that. Don't get me wrong. But I do like when a band shakes things up a little bit, and this album is different. And I give it kudos for them for trying. It may not be a full fledged success, but it's a solid try, and kudos for them for trying to do it. But that's me. You let me know what you think. Share your thoughts with us. Are you on board with this album? You hate this album? I'd love to hear from you, and I'll try to reply as soon as I can once I get something from you. This is Stephen from the Aroundtable with my thoughts on the 28th anniversary of Kiss's polarizing album, Carnival of Souls. And I'll be seeing you soon, guys.